feel so awkward. Okay. Sync clap. Okay. Hi. How should I introduce myself? If you're new here, so am I. Maybe if I like walk in and sit down, maybe that'll feel more normal. Hello, my name is Eryn, and this is my new BookTube channel, Eryn Brought a Book, where I'm going to talk about books and try to make friends. I don't know how to film intros yet, so you're going to have to bear with me while I figure that out. But in the meantime, this is what you get. This is the BookTube Newbie Tag. I'm going to answer some questions. Why did you start this channel? I'm starting this channel for a few reasons. Like most people who start BookTube channels, I'm pretty into books. I love reading, and this is the place to be on YouTube if you like those things. I found BookTube almost 2 years ago. I don't remember exactly how I stumbled upon it. YouTube knew what I wanted. Somebody's video popped up in my recommended and opened up this whole can of worms. I was like, oh my gosh, my people, other adults who have voluntarily assigned themselves book reports. Over time, a lot of my favorite booktubers have started to feel like they're friends. They don't know I exist, but like I'm watching every video that they put out, like, ooh, I wonder what they thought about this book. Anyways, basically, I have gotten to a point now where I feel the fire. I feel that fire of creative restlessness. Time for me to participate in BookTube as a creator and not just a consumer. Also, I want to get better at critically reading and reviewing books and start reading a little bit more actively. I think I'm a pretty good reader. Overall, in general, I think I have good reading comprehension, but sometimes it feels like I will have read through a book so fast that I don't retain a lot of it. If I haven't spent any time after I finish the book like dwelling on it or thinking about it, it's kind of in one ear and out the other. I'm also a writer. I've always enjoyed writing. I want to read in a way that allows me to become a better writer. And a lot of the time that means paying a little bit more attention to the way that an author has constructed a story, the themes that they've set up, the character arcs, etc. Aspects of storytelling which, if they've done their job well, you actually don't really notice them as a reader. It just feels fluid, the story feels natural and engaging. But as a writer, I want to be able to kind of peek between the lines and behind the curtain and see what these authors are doing. So I feel like having a venue and an opportunity to express my thoughts about the books that I am reading will just naturally kind of force me into a more active role while I am reading, because I'm going to be thinking about, oh, okay, I want to talk about this later. I really feel like having this space will help me to get more out of reading. And lastly, I just want to challenge myself and gain some new skills, especially just, getting comfortable on camera and getting better at articulating my thoughts in a cohesive and interesting way. One of the things that I know is true is that we often grow the most and improve the most when we feel the most uncomfortable. I think that that's important. I think that's part of life. And I want to be the kind of person who's not afraid to challenge myself, overcome obstacles, and I feel like there's probably going to be a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles associated with trying to maintain a BookTube channel. Wow, I spent a really long time on the first question. Let's get a little more snappy with this. What are some fun, unique things you can bring to BookTube? I'll do my best to justify my presence here. I have a lot of ideas for videos that I want to make, for books that I want to talk about. I have so many little obscure books that I have read and loved in my life that I want to share with other people. This is so weird. Okay. What are you most excited for with this new channel? I got a lot of ideas and I want to see if I can bring them to life, and I want to see if I can make something that I'm proud of. So I'm excited to, challenge myself in that way, I guess. But number two, I'm also just excited to get more involved with the larger bookworm community and make some friends, just to get more involved. Okay, sync clap number 2, because my camera died. Next question. Why do you love reading? Number one, first and foremost, I love the escapism. If you've ever had the experience of finding a book that you are so into, you literally feel like you can't put it down, you have to keep turning the pages, just dropping into a really good book, that's such an immersive experience. For me, that is a feeling that I've never gotten from watching a movie or even a TV show. It's hard to explain. Reading is it's almost like you're creating this internal world around you as the your eyes are following the words on the page, you know? So it almost feels like you're physically there. It carries a certain power of escapism that I have not experienced elsewhere. Also, there are so many good stories out there that only exist in book form. With streaming getting more and more popular and more books turning into TV shows, I'm happy to see that these great stories are being adapted for other mediums where maybe they'll be experienced by more people. But for me, I just know like there have been so many books that I have found and loved that I would have never met those characters or heard that story if I didn't read. So for me, reading is like, there's an element of FOMO to it. Like I don't want to miss out on any of the good stories. So yeah, I would say number 1 reason is the escapism. Number 2 reason, FOMO. Number 3 reason, I also read a lot of nonfiction. I read a lot of memoirs and a lot of kind of, I guess, self-help type of books. I read a lot of books about things that I want to improve in my life. So like, you know, personal finance or career tips for women or how to build good habits. I enjoy reading and learning what other people have found about these topics so that I can implement that in my own life. So there's also an element of practicality, of self-improvement. But first and foremost, it's for the stories. What book or series got you into reading? So I actually wouldn't say that there was a specific book that got me into reading, simply because I think that I've loved reading for basically as long as I can remember. I think that I can credit my grandma with this. My grandma used to sit with me on the couch and read picture books to me, and we would flip the pages together and she would be reading the story. She used to read to me until she would fall asleep next to me, and then I would keep on flipping the pages, like pretending that I was still reading the story, but mostly just looking at the pictures, until I actually could continue reading the story. And from that point forward, I was just destined to be a bookworm. I really was. Bill Peet. This is my first official BookTube recommendation. I don't know how big Bill Peet is on the book internet community. His books have so much whimsy, like the illustrations, the stories, and I still have these books. Like they're very nostalgic for me. Anyways, I highly recommend if you're looking for a good kids book to read your children's, or to read yourself, you know, whatever. Bill Peet. Primo, cream of the crop, as far as I'm concerned. What questions would you ask your favorite booktuber? Can we be friends? All the other questions that are popping in my head right now are not really related to books or reading. They're related to like the technical aspects of starting and running a booktube channel. How do you schedule filming, and how do you plan your like TBR list and your video list, and like how do those influence each other? How much time do you spend working on your channel every week? What days do you film? Do you have any advice for me in general? Because I'm in this phase of booktube right now, that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I think about booktubers. So most of my questions right now would just be basic booktube advice. What challenges of starting a YouTube channel do you think will be the hardest to overcome? Number 1, feeling comfortable and natural articulating my inner thoughts to a camera. It's a skill that I have not yet attained. So that's, I think, going to be the biggest challenge for me. And not being overly self-critical while editing. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. It is a flaw. It prevents me from getting stuff done because I'm like, well, if it can't be perfect, then why even do it? So one of my favorite mottos that I'm really trying to make a reality in my life is that perfect is the enemy of good. Or done. Perfect is the enemy of done. I don't know. There's some. I'll Google it and put it up. When did you start reading? We already hit this. Grandma's couch. That's not the couch. I don't know why I pointed. My brain was like, couch. It's not that couch. Okay, anyways. Where do you read? Wherever I can, I guess? I don't know. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. That's my favorite way to read memoirs, especially if the author of the book is the person who's reading the audiobook. I think that's a really great way to hear other people's stories in their own words, in their own voices. I just think that's one of the coolest ways to like read a memoir. So I listen to audiobooks in the car, in the shower, when I'm doing chores, when I'm getting ready for the day. Not like all the time, but just, you know, if I'm in the middle of a book and I'm really feeling it, then I'll basically play it wherever I can. Like when my hands need to be doing something, but my brain is free to listen to an audiobook, then, you know, I'll listen to an audiobook. Reading physical books is a little trickier. I actually don't have a daily schedule. Like, I don't read before bed or anything. But part of the thing that I want to do with this channel is to just be more consistent with my reading habits in general. So I might try to start implementing like a daily reading routine, either before bed or maybe in the morning right when I first wake up. Just a time that I've set aside specifically for that purpose. What kind of books do you like to read? It's weird that this wasn't the first question, because I feel like that's what I'm most curious about when I find a booktuber is, okay, what kind of stuff they like though? Because is it the kind of stuff that I like though? But then even if it's not the kind of stuff that I like, but I like them, then I'll still watch their stuff, so. Anyways, what was the question? What kind of books do I like to read? Basic, simple. Fantasy and science fiction. Always have loved these genres, probably always will. I recently discovered Brandon Sanderson and it just like reawoke my love of fantasy. So right now I'm tearing through a lot of Brandon Sanderson books. I also like historical fiction for a lot of the same reasons as fantasy sci-fi. It lets me experience a story in a world that I'm unfamiliar with. The world itself is interesting. The world itself is a character almost. In fantasy or sci-fi, it's, a fictional world. In historical fiction, it's a world that is my world or was my world, but is no longer my world. I like books that introduce me to new worlds. I also read a lot of memoirs and nonfiction books. I just really like to learn from other people. Sometimes I'll read graphic novels. I really like Saga right now. So if you have graphic novel recommendations, hit me up. Yeah, I don't know. I read young adult. I read adult. I'm kind of all over the place. So that's what we're in for. Okay, that's all the questions. I don't know how to finish a video yet, so that's it. That's my introduction to BookTube. My name is Eryn. If you liked it, subscribe. We're gonna get better at this. And we're going to talk about books, and we're going to become friends. That's the goal. Okay, bye! Ooh, should I do, what is it called? A thumbnail? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. How do I do a thumbnail? One of those will work. Okay. Let's wrap.